Episode 3, Who the Murphys Are. The Murphys were and are an Irish Catholic family with first-generation immigrant American parents. We stood out from other families in our three-decker neighborhood. Why? My father built an innate pride in each of us regarding our Irish Murphy bloodline, and most of us developed a particular family aura and confidence. My name is Roderick Patrick Murphy, or Roddy to my sisters, Dad to my kids, and Murph to many of my friends. I am now 85 years old as I do this podcast series. I was named after Roderick O'Connor, the last High King of Ireland before the Anglo-Norman invasion in the 10th century. I had 5 sisters, Maureen, Brenda, Ellen, Claire, and Gail by order of birth. Garrett is the oldest and my only brother. Maureen was the next oldest. She died at 72 in 2007 and was vivacious, lots of fun, very feminine, and a good singer. She had dark hair, fair skin, and loved everyone, but she was a trouble magnet in her teens. Later, unfortunately, she had a bad marriage. She had 4 great kids and lived most of her life as a divorced single mother. She had many good jobs and lived all over the USA, finally landing back in Massachusetts on Cape Cod. Maureen's now grown children are Tom, now deceased, Kathy, Cindy, and Robbie. They appreciated and loved their mother to the end. I was the next oldest, and more about me later. Brenda became the oldest daughter after Maureen married and moved out. She chafed at being constantly held responsible by our parents for her 3 younger sisters. Gail remembers Brenda's thick black hair worn in braids. She was like a German girl, Gail told me. Actually, Brenda took after the black Irish side of the family, the Dignans. She had fair, luminous skin and black hair like our father, like Maureen, and like our grandmother Catherine Dignan, and later like my daughter Deirdre. Brenda was picked on by her brothers and sisters for being a little too goody-goody. When she was young, her famous quote, "I want to be a nursing nun," is still used to needle her at family parties. She is the only one of us to choose to go to a Catholic high school. Brenda is our family's genealogist and has uncovered much of our family's history. She married a great guy, Bob Robichaud, and they had 2 sons, Bob Jr., who is a building contractor, and John, who is a pharmacist. Both bring praise to their parents. Ellen, now deceased, was a serious, quiet child with other, more big-mouthed and troublemaking siblings getting the attention. She receded into the background. I think she probably liked not being the focus of attention. She was loving, smart, kind, and hardworking. She had a graceful, quiet dignity about her. She was slim, had blue eyes and light-colored hair, very light-colored toward the end. She worked at Wang Labs as a technical writer when the computer industry was new. She is most like our mother. Ellen looks like Mother did. She had many of Mother's good qualities. She was married to a good guy, Carl Prendergast, in his home state of Tennessee. With her 2 sons, Henry and Andy, were her pride and joy. Next is Claire, dark-haired, willowy, and a star. She has enough chutzpah to be president. She was the family's hero during Mother's long sickness. Claire is the archetype for pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. She went to college with all the financial disadvantages that all us Murphys have and finished seemingly effortlessly. She has a good business head and has run her own successful rare business and appraisal business. She was the first woman to be licensed as a rare book auctioneer. Claire is married to another great guy, Peter Conley, and lives on Cape Cod. She is active in the Ancient Order of Hibernians and also writes very well. Her 2 boys, Donald and Patrick, are part of Claire's life long after they have grown up. Gail, the youngest, was her sibling's favorite. Her coloring is like mine. We had curly, reddish hair. Gail calls it auburn. Like Mother, with a very white, freckled skin, she was the cutest peaches and cream little girl. She was 10 when Mother died and was most adversely affected by it. Gail moved to Paris to care for Gary's children soon after she graduated from high school. Deirdre, Gary's first wife, had just died in an automobile accident. Gail also modeled in New York City, taught school in Puerto Rico, groomed dogs in California, finally ran an animal rights organization in Florida. She was briefly married to a Japanese classical musician. She now lives alone with various pets in Tampa. Gail, like all the Murphys, keeps in touch regularly with the rest of the family. Gary, now deceased, was the oldest and the trailblazer for the rest of us. I dedicated a whole chapter in my memoir to him because he was so influential in my young life. He was the pride and joy of Mother and Dad as a youth and a young man. His school record from the beginning was top of the heap: honor roll, dean's list, scholarship to Harvard, and then attending BC Law School. He gathered all the accolades and honors with good reason. He worked hard and followed through. He was smart and he was aggressive. He still had those attributes as an adult. He was also a very loving brother to his youngest sibling. His second marriage to Annie was a great move for him. She gave him some balance. His 5 sons are all doing well and must be his pride. He lived in Paris, France. My only brother was a tough act to follow. During my youth, the last vestiges of Yankee Protestant discrimination against Catholics was disappearing. The power struggle was being won by the Irish Catholics, but bias in employment, college admissions, business contracts, and club membership was still part of our life. That historical discrimination was a dominant theme in conversations at home. Some nasty anti-Catholic incidents were evident in my stories. Gail's horrific experience by Cambridge public librarians, the unjust treatment of Irish neighborhoods, and the busing controversy, the great difficulty for my father to find a job that would use his considerable talents, and Gary's similar problem after graduating with honors from Harvard. Almost all of this has happily disappeared in Boston. What is left is the long-term continuing anti-Roman Catholic Church bias of the elites, demonstrated regularly by the Boston Globe, academia, and the political establishment, many of whom are nominal Catholics themselves. Most of the Murphy men are tall. I'm 6'2". My grandfather was 6'5". My father was 6 foot. My brother was 6'4" and my son is 6 foot. That is the short version of who the Murphys are. Thank you for viewing or listening to my podcast episode. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, and if you so choose, I ask you to send a good review and perhaps refer friends who might be interested in this podcast series. Again, my thanks.